Good evening, friends, and welcome to another evening webinar on the subject of health. And in the last couple of weeks, we have been taking up different topics. So this time also we'll be talking on a very interesting subject. But before we begin with, let us pray together. Divine Mother, Heavenly Father, friend beloved God, saints and sages of all religion, we bow before you all. Please give us the right understanding, guide us into the ancient wisdom of yoga for health, and give us strength and courage to apply these teachings in our daily lives. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Welcome, friends, once again. And as I was saying, that in the last few weeks or so, we have been talking about different aspects of health as far as the yogic lifestyle is concerned. And all these sages and rishis, those who have discovered that yes, there is a deeper aspect of our health which we can improve. In fact, health is our real nature, our natural state. So we have been talking about, how diet can help us to have good health, fasting, posture, also sunlight. And in the last class, we were talking about breath practices, in fact, which was mainly related with how our respiratory health we can improve. And also, we touched on the subject of thoughts, that how thoughts in this realm of the universe are not being generated from our brains, but how we are receiving them and how we can, in fact, tune in to entirely different quality of thoughts depending upon what is the state of the energy of our mind. But after today, I was thinking that many of these things on a subtler, on a deeper level, many of us are already aware of. As Swami Kriyananda, who was a direct disciple of Yogananda, he always used to remind us that we are much wiser than we think we are. And because on many deeper levels, we know that yes, I have to eat right, I have to exercise, I have to do so and so things. But what is it, what is it that still, even when we know that we have to do it, but we still are not able to do it? Or sometimes, we just are not able to take that next step, and we are putting our efforts, we do it for maybe some days, and then that whole thing starts again coming back, and we feel that, oh, I'm not able to do it to the degree I want to. And this is an age old question. In fact, Bhagavad Gita also talks about this question when Arjuna was asking Krishna that what is it, Krishna, that when you know that yes, this thing is this is not right for you, still there is some force which somehow compels you to make the same mistake which you don't want to. And Krishna, in fact, gave him a very simple answer. He said that it is the habit, it is the power of habit which does not allow us to change. And this is exactly what we are going to talk today, because in our neuroscience also, in fact, if you see Yogananda, who was in 1920s, he went to United States and he was taking this message of ancient wisdom of yoga science to the West. He was talking 100 years back certain very interesting things about the brain pattern, about the how these habits they develop in our brain, and which modern neuroscientists almost today and almost in just a few couple of years back, they have discovered that what he was already saying 100 years back, that how the neuroscience is discovering and rediscovering these things. And he said that habits, they are how they are formed in the brain. If you see, he said that any thought that we think, or any action that we do, it is creating a kind of blueprint in our brain. And which is to say that these whatever action we do, and if we keep on repeating that, that groove becomes deeper and deeper. It is something like how a gramophone record in the old days, they used to operate, when the gramophone record is, when the needle is going through that same groove, and it used to bring up that music. So Yogananda was talking about this fact that yes, habits are created in our brain. It is just like any, even if you do anything for once, your brain is written by the attention, by the needle of our attention. There is a groove which comes over there. And if we keep repeating that, then that groove becomes deeper and deeper. And that is the reason, friends, why sometimes certain bad habits or certain tendencies, because of the, because we have lived through them throughout our lives, and sometimes for incarnation after incarnation we are committing the same actions again and again and again, and that is why those grooves become so deep that it becomes difficult to change. And this is a common experience also, because we all time we want to change but we are not able to change to that degree. But the good thing here is, Yogananda said that the way habits are formed, you can also by the same mechanism undo them. You can, overwrite them, or you can even change them. In fact, he was so magnetic when he was saying that by the needle of your concentration and attention you can even change habits in a day. But he said, yes, more for many of us, or for most of us, it will be like a consistent change. When you keep making a good change day after day, then, and have a little patience, then yes, things can be changed. In fact, I was reading a very simple talk from one of a Swami, and he was saying that just think that how, and he was also talking about habit change, and he was saying changing habit is something like, how you treat a small child. And in fact, he was saying, let us say a baby is playing with something which is not right for him, and you know that baby can harm himself with that thing, because babies don't know. They sometimes they take up something as a toy and they start fiddling with it, and now you as a parent know that this is not good for the child. Then what do? Then you have to take that thing away from it. Maybe let's say it's a knife, and you know that knife can injure the baby. And because if you take immediately from him, the babies, they cry, they will not allow you to take it back. So what we do is that you bring another attractive toy and you just show it to the baby, and baby immediately jumps onto it because that's more attractive, and he forgets about the earlier thing which he was carrying in his hand, and he just leaves that, and by that, and you just kind of remove that from his vision, and that is how that thing is taken out of his sight and out of his mind. And this is exactly we should treat our habits also, because the first thing, because since it is having a lot of hold on our mind, the way we have been leading our life, the first thing is to give our mind, treat it like a baby, and give it another good toy. Now just let us say somebody is having this habit of, let's say, smoking, and he is not able to leave this habit of smoking, or let's say drinking, or whatever it can be anything. Now the good thing would be to first change your environment and change your conditions, and maybe join a group of friends, those who don't smoke, and then see and stay with them for some time and change your environment, because environment is has a lot of influence on our will. And when you start enjoying that, so there will be a time when you are in both the kind of scenarios, but slowly when you start enjoying the good thing, then naturally the hold of the bad will kind of disappear. Your mind will not even regret that what it is losing. But at the same time, friends, this is one way to deal with it. But often the thing is, because the habits sometimes are so hard and so deep seated, that we need a greater power than our own efforts to dislodge them. And sometimes our own efforts can be less than sufficient. And that is why we need help. It is something like if you want to lift, let us say, as a child wants to lift a heavy sack of grains and he's not able to lift, then what does he do? He looks up to his parent and he says, please help me, or please can you lift this for me? I want to do this, this and this job. Or if you have a maths problem, let's say it's not being solved, you go to a teacher and then you ask him to solve that for you. So similarly, friends, in the case of habits also, or in the case of the problems of lives, we can go to a man who is stronger than us, who knows the challenges of life, who has already solved these challenges in his life, and who has gone beyond his mind. And who are those men? Who are those supermen? These are the saints and sages which the which we always see in different ages. And when we go to them, when we ask them, so please help me, I'm not able to handle my life the way it is going, I need help, they are always eager to help us. That is why they are there, irrespective of whatever age, whatever era they have lived in. If we commune with them, it is possible to receive help from them. And this is what we do. In fact, today I want to share with you the simple exercise of how we can receive help from them. It's very simple. In fact, it is the only thing required is a little bit of silence in our mind, calmness, and at the same time, deep attention and focus with whom you are trying to commune with. Now, it can be any sage or saint. If you feel the sages of our line of gurus could be those gurus also, Lahadi Mahashaya, Babaji, Yukteswarji, or Yogananda, or it could be Krishna, Jesus, Buddha, Nanak, Kabir, who's whatsoever. I mean, this is all these great saints, those who have lived in different time zones, but those who have transcended their mind, we can receive help from them. So let's do the simple exercise where we can prepare ourselves by doing simple double breathing. Sitting in your seats with a straight spine and just feeling that, bringing your attention at the point between the eyebrows and trying to, visualize whosoever's, whatever image comes to your mind right now of whatever saint. And before that, we will try to calm down our mind by doing this even count breathing. Let's do this 3 cycles of even count breathing. And let us inhale to the count of 4. I'll keep a count for you. Hold the breath to the same number of count. Breathe out. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Now sit with absolute silence. Don't think about any past or future. Bring your mind into the present moment and relax in your seat. Just watch your breath for a few cycles, breathing in and breathing out. When your mind is anchored into the breath, you will see that thoughts will not come to you, disturb you more often. And now visualize any sage or any saint you feel naturally attracted towards. And especially look deep into his eyes and offer your heart's devotion to him. Talk to him in your heart's own language. That, sir, I have a deep reverence for you. I love you. I want to learn from you. Please give me the right understanding. Please guide me in my life. Offer your heart's devotion to him. Seek his guidance. You can always put to him whatever question is coming to your mind that you want an answer for. Or you may even ask that, please give me the strength of your consciousness. Please transfer your consciousness into my heart, into my brain. With your added strength, I will be able to handle my challenges in my life. With this inner prayer, let us focus deeply and stay in this meditation for about 1 minute by deeply focusing our eyes and tuning into the consciousness of the sage and receiving that consciousness into our mind and praying to him all the time. Let's meditate for 1 minute. Take a deep, long breath now through your nose. Breathe out 3 times through your mouth. Then you can slowly open your eyes. So, friends, we have done this activity for a very, very brief period. 1 minute is hardly anything because I wanted to share with you that this can be done multiple times in a day and you can increase the time depending upon how much time you have. And rather, Divine Mother has given us now a lot of time at our disposal. I was thinking that these are the moments sometimes Divine Mother, when she presses this reset button, it is to help us to understand that God has created man, as we say, the scriptures tell us, in his own image. But sometimes, we get so engrossed in our mundane realities that we forget what is that higher noble purpose for which God created man. And so sometimes when these calamities or the warfare or pandemics come, it is just to, it is not to scare us, but it is to tell us that, please wake up. You are my child. Divine Mother is telling us, you are my children. Why don't you understand that you are here for a special purpose? You are here for a noble purpose. And when we awaken to that reality, then we understand that this universe is it can be a beautiful dream. It is a dream of God, but depending upon how we are conducting ourselves, are we living in tune with that higher reality? Who is the creator of this universe? Then only we'll be able to justify our living on this plane. So, with that, now I will request Dr. Aditya to share his thoughts with you. And we have some questions. If we will have some time, then we can take up those questions in the end.
Hi, Amar. Let's start by answering those questions. I think we had just two when we started. Why don't
Yeah.
you take that
Okay.
time?
So yeah, let me think what was the. So this question is given to sent to us is that this lady is saying that I am pregnant and sometimes I feel I cannot breathe diaphragmatically. What can I do to improve? So I was going through that thing, and it perhaps in when as the pregnancy goes on, because it is not written, it is how old is the pregnancy, because in the last couple of months, when the baby size is growing in the 8th month or in the 9th month, then diaphragm gets pushed more and more into the chest cavity because the baby size is growing. So it can be little difficult to do diaphragmatic breathing at that moment, because that is why women tend to do sometimes this thoracic breathing also. So it is quite natural that diaphragm will not be moving to that greater extent in the last few months of pregnancy. But in the initial period of pregnancy, when the child size is very small, you can easily do diaphragmatic breathing. In fact, it is recommended that we should do belly breathing, which is quite easy to do if you relax your abdominal area and just feel that you're inhaling right into your belly. So although the breath is going into your lungs, but when your stomach is relaxed and fitting loose fitting clothes you're wearing, especially when you are lying down, you can easily see that your belly moves freely. Then diaphragmatic breathing will come naturally to you. If Aditya wants to share something.
I think that's good. Amar, you want to take the second one too? It's more in your
Yes.
domain.
Yeah. So the next question was that I'm allergic to gluten. Does it have any treatment? So you see, gluten is one of the components of the some of the cereals, especially the wheat and some of the other grains also. But medically speaking, they say that if you are allergic to gluten, then we have to avoid those substances in which gluten is there, and mostly these substances are the products of the wheat and bread. And so there are other alternatives that you can take, the rice and uh, corn also to some extent. But the main things, if I see it from yogic perspective, I feel that the power of digestion, since it is coming from the Manipur chakra, which is the navel chakra, and I have my understanding is that since we have misused or we have exhausted our digestive power to a greater degree, and we have not taken proper caution maybe in previous lifetimes, or so that is why this digestive power is weaker, or let's say the life force is not reaching to the same degree in our navel chakra, so that the absorption of certain foodstuffs is not right. So first of all, I would say that fasting, as yogic measures say, can really help. In fact, if somebody is allergic to certain kind of foodstuffs, so then they can see what is it which is causing them trouble. So those products can be deleted. But at the same time, if they fast on fruits can be easily taken, even if you are allergic to gluten, and veggies and some salads. So periodic fasting can actually recover a lot of life force, which is, if it is even missing in the digestive domain, and that is what is coming to my mind, can really help. And certain yoga postures, in fact, there is an energization exercises which we do for the navel chakra, where we tense our abdominal muscles, and then we do some alternate tensing of the left and right abdominal muscles. That can also help to strengthen the navel chakra. And also there are certain other practices, certain yoga postures also, which can help, like this navasana, which is navasana is like a boat pose, and you make a perfect V while sitting on your sit bones, and this really strengthens your core chakra, the navel chakra, and that could also be helpful. Apart from that, certain pranayamas, certainly they can help.
Well, thank you, Amar. Good evening, everybody. So I would like to start. I have just a few minutes in which to share, and I'd like to read this story that Kriyanandaji records in his book, Conversations with Yogananda. And this is very much what Amar was saying, and then we can have a brief discussion. Now, Kriyanandaji used to call Yogananda master. He says, "The master said to me one day, 'Keep on becoming good. You are doing better now.' I answered him, 'I've had a few things to work on, haven't I?' 'Yes,' replied the master. 'There was too much intellectual aloofness.' I know, I said. It has been a strong habit with me. I'm still working on it. Habits, the master replied, can be changed in a day. They are nothing but concentration of the mind. You've been concentrating one way. Simply concentrate another way, and you'll completely overcome the habit. This was basically the same advice he had given to his early student, Jotin. Now, very simple message, friends, but I was thinking about some of those words over there. Yoganandaji writes, mentions, it's a concentration of the mind. And as Amar rightly said, here we are in this lockdown. I'm sure all of us have always wished for more time to work on ourselves, certain habits, routines, perhaps of waking up early, of exercising, even a habit of being more in silence, perhaps reading or taking those 10-12 minutes of sun exposure every day, or a routine of yoga, meditating longer, reading more, just going online to see what are the basic simple health news. Sometimes we can go through life for decades without knowing some basic things about our health, about our own body. So here's the time. But again, it's not so easy, because only when we consciously put our mind, okay, I'm gonna wake up from tomorrow I'm gonna read for 2 hours a day, that's when we realize how this you might say demon of unwillingness comes from nowhere and does not allow that simple resolution to happen. But again, I'm sharing this for those, that phrase of master, it's nothing but a concentration of the mind. So the battle will not be so much outside. It plays out outside, but it will be inside. To sit for meditation, if you've never sat still, there may be just an unwillingness, but just be seated, sit there with a book, look at the picture, as Amar said, of a saint or some aspect of the divine that you enjoy, and see how you could allow that restlessness, that unwillingness, that resistance to changing a certain habit to come, and just observe it and slowly let it go and strengthen your mind. Then Yoganandaji says, you'll completely overcome the habit this way. Very, very consoling and beautiful things, words over there. I want to read another story of his. The master once repeated for us, this is actually interestingly the third time I'm repeating this story, and it just has so many lessons that I pick it up for different topics.
So, Aditya, there is just one question. In fact, one of the panelists, if you would like to answer that. So, she's saying we start certain works with a great fanfare and focus, but after some time, the same amount of focus and willpower does not continue and it starts petering out. How can we develop this steadfastness?
Well, I would say I'm looking back at certain things I've changed in myself. Once it was a food habit, which I followed very diligently for 6 months, or walking. Basically, what I would say is see how you can, first of all, are you really enthusiastic about it? Don't be in a haste of adopting a habit just because everybody else is doing it these days, or somebody told you, or a friend. I think we have to come to the point where you realize, okay, I'm tired of this one thing. I'm going to really test my resolve. So that's one, I would say. Make it fun. I remember when in Delhi many years ago, I started taking cold baths in winter. And it started one way, but then I started enjoying it. And I would go and check the temperature in the newspaper every day, that, oh, what was the temperature the last day? Then I would, of course, when I would go for a bath, I would say, is this higher or lesser? I wonder what is the temperature. And of course, you feel this because it's a good habit you're trying to develop. You read about it. Oh, this has such good benefits for my brain, for my immune system, for my willpower. And of course, as you can guess, dear friend, that whenever we excel in any one positive direction, it impacts the other aspects of our life. So you start feeling better, you start feeling more joyful. Maybe tell about the habit you're trying to change to one or two good friends you have, who you know are going to totally support you and not laugh at you. And that way, you can even tell them that in a friendly way, just check with me if I am making progress, because that way you're kind of answerable to them. Finally, I would say that it does take sometimes more time. The master said it's very, very consoling to hear that. Master said in one day you can change it, but don't be hard on yourself if you cannot. Make small changes. Last week, last month, somebody was sharing with me in a satsang that each time he's able to do something, he said, I have kept some ice cream for myself. And I tell that I'll get that ice cream if I'm able to do so many hours of this work. And he said, I treat myself. And just like Amar was saying, how do you work with children? Well, this person is a grown-up person in the IT. And he said, that ice cream makes me do it. So it's a simple, small price, sweet price to pay for something which is not desirable. So put yourself a small cap that, okay, I'm going to have a gift. I think those things work. And set the bar. Yeah, this is the final thing. Set the bar low in the beginning. As much as we read and we want to imitate the lives of the saints, just take one small step. And Yogananda ji recommended that is how we increase our willpower, we gain more confidence, and go through those steps. Okay, so I think I'll keep this other story for next time. And Amar and I will see you on following Tuesday. No, today's Tuesday. So we'll meet you on Friday. Yes. Thank you, Amar.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Bara, and all of you who are attending.
Thanks.